Now, this is a side elevation of a simple broiler structure that can house 1,950 broilers up to maturity. In this structure, you can see that the length is 65 foot and the width is 30 foot. Meaning, if we multiply the width times the length, we will get 1950. That's the number of birds that can be able to be accommodated comfortably up to day 35 of maturity. If you desire to grow bigger birds than that, then you may need to consider stocking less, probably about 1700, so that the birds can grow up to 42 days and have a better or achieve a better body weight by then. Now, if you are growing capons of about 1.6 live weight, that means you're going to harvest or kill them slightly earlier than day 35, then you could do a little bit more. Maybe you can do 12 birds to the meter. That means you could do about 2,100 on the same space. But the golden rule is, and must be followed, one bird per 1 square foot. Now, the other things, as you can see, it has only 2 courses of stones. From the ground, you only build 2 courses of stones for a maximum of about 2 foot. Meaning, this is only to keep away, fast-moving wind that may fall onto the birds, directly onto the birds from there. But the rest of the area must be about 6 foot to bring in adequate ventilation. And with a width of 30, it means airflow is easy, getting in through this side and coming out from the other side. Now, if you're building 2 houses next to one another, consider leaving about 10 meters between the 2 houses so that you do not compromise airflow into the second house, or you do not push stale air from one house into the next house. So 8 to 10 meters would be adequate, but anything less than that and the houses are, running parallel to one another, then on the second house, you may not achieve good weights like on the first house. But if again you're doing 2 houses, we always state that both of them must be all in, all out, so that you're having birds of the same age in both the houses. That will actually ease in biosecurity and farm management practices. Now, the other thing is the roof. You can see our roof is gable. The king post, that means from the beam that holds the structure in place to the highest point must be at least 4 foot. Why is it 4 foot? This means that when hot air hits our iron sheets here, it does not easily fall onto the birds. If you have a roof that is flat and the sun is beaming directly onto the mabatis or onto the iron sheets, then you'll have a lot of hot air falling onto your birds. But with the gable, you're able to diminish that hot air and you have an extractor ventilation here of about 1 foot. Now, it is important to understand the wind in your particular area, because this ventilation must not let direct wind inside the chicken coop, because that means it will bring a lot of draft or cold air into the birds. But it must be able to deflect hot air, and the hot air will rise. As hot air and wind, and as air blows, the hot air will rise and a bit of cold air will fall gradually onto the birds. But if the wind is coming from this side, everything, hot air and cold air, will be swallowed by the ventilator and it will fall onto the birds. The ventilator also acts as an exhauster for hot air. In many houses which are open or natural ventilated and are in warm areas, like here in Kenya, we naturally put a ceiling cover so that we have isolated the birds from the iron sheets. This is because at night, when it becomes cold, there is, dew or some water drops that will fall on your mabatis, called condensation, and may fall on your buds. And during very hot periods, you also don't want this hot air to fall onto your buds. So we have kind of a ceiling cover running all through the house. That means this particular area of the roof may be warm, but as you get into your chicken house, it is really, really cool. The chicken house is also ventilated using two curtains. We have an outer curtain that will actually deflect cold wind or anything that is coming towards the house. And when the birds are small, we have an inner curtain that will be able to keep warm the birds. That means between your wood structure here, there's an outer curtain and an inner curtain and a ceiling. It will reduce in your heating costs, and it will also ease in your management processes. Now, as you can see, as you get into the chicken coop, we have a wide door of about 4 foot. This is to easily maneuver within the chicken house, to bring in feed and to bring out chicken, whether you're using crates or whichever means you're using. There's also a foot dip design there. This is also as a biosecurity standard so that you can be able to dip your foot inside the foot dip before you get into the chicken house. Now, the other thing is your lighting. In a 30-foot house, you must provide at least 2 rows of light. That is your plan. Your lights must run parallel to the walls. They must be at least 6 foot from the wall, and they must run like 2 lines so that you have a nice an area which is very, very well lit. On the sides, we'll use a chicken wire, and we can also double up with a wire mesh just to keep away any birds or any wild dogs or anything that could be able to cut the chicken wire. Now, right here, you may realize that that's where the small little birds get in through the ridges in our iron sheets. Now, to combat that, we use a chicken wire next to the paling, which is here, and the wall plate, which is there, and you cover it well with a chicken wire. That means there's nothing that can be able to penetrate through there. In this particular setup, 2,000 birds, this floor space should be able to cover a water system and a feed system in the same ratio for the birds. And the birds also will be able to live comfortably for at least 35 to 38 days and a maximum of 42 days if you're growing 1950 birds.